about her. We're live, by
I
the
found,
way.
by the way, so one of our people found an email dating to the Epstein files going. Anyway, we'll go into it.
Yeah.
Not in
Hi.
the Epstein files, an email between people in Trump's orbit, like Alan Dershowitz and others, an email between everybody else, talking about paying somebody off $1 million to keep it quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, and some very important names. So we're gonna definitely me and you talk about it. But anyway, we're live.
Yeah, we're live with
Hey,
Lev Parnas on a
welcome.
Friday night. Isn't There's no better place I'd want to be on a Valentine's Eve than with you, Lev. Because honestly, I mean that honestly. It's we're going to have a
Okay.
very interesting conversation tonight because we're going to talk a lot about the latest news regarding Thiel and Epstein, the latest news about all the scalps that are being handed over, that are people are resigning and being arrested around the world for Epstein. None in the United States, but around the world. Oh, well, I guess Kathy Rumler is in the United States. So that's one scalp that we got today. And we're also
Yep.
going to be talking a lot about Michael Cohen because that issue keeps coming up again and again and again. And what you've unearthed is a remarkable new video recording of a podcast that he did for PDB, which is a very popular podcast, but I don't watch it.
Actually, Ellie, I gotta give her the credit.
Okay.
She sent it to me at 1 o'clock in the morning. She said, "Did you see this?" And I heard about something about this, but I didn't know it was this. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Zev. So
No, no, that's
yeah.
great. I found this thing fascinating. I mean, I'm sort of, you know, Michael Cohen does the same thing over and over again, and I'm sort of getting tired of that routine that he does. But it's remarkable to watch him flip completely again. And the things he says in this interview, and we'll play lots of clips from them tonight so everyone can hear it for themselves, I think are very instructive. I think we're going to learn a lot about who Michael Cohen is and what this is all about, why he's changing his tune so much. You know, if this guy flips so many times, it's incredible. Every week he's got a new
Yeah.
position. So we'll get all to that, and plus we'll take your questions and your comments. I'm sure this is one of those topics that is very, very fiery. People love talking about this. So as you come in here, feel free to share your comments. Please be polite with everybody on the chats, and we'll take your comments throughout the thing. People have two different opinions about this. We're here to share the facts. We're here to play the clips. We're here to tell you exactly what happened at this interview and what's right and what's wrong in this interview. There's a lot of misstatements and a lot of facts that are misstated here. So we're going to go through that. And Lev, you've also had a big week. You must be exhausted after all the trip to DC and
Oof.
everything. Can you believe that was just this week?
I still, today I was, I was on the phone with Jay, who's one of our volunteers. Shout out to her because we're going to talk about some of the stuff she's been doing. And I literally thought she flew also to Washington with me, and I literally thought today was Saturday. So I thought I was getting ready with coffee and tea with Dean, and I'm like, wait a second, it's Friday, and my day, and then all day today, and then because I didn't sleep all night because Ellie, she's incredible. She sent me in the middle of the night. She goes, "Did you see this?" And obviously, it's a 2-hour video, folks. And obviously, I stood up till 4 in the morning watching it and sending it to Joy Reid at 4 in the morning and sending it to you guys. As you could see, you saw what time I was sending
Yeah,
it to
I was
you.
up, by the way, because I was
Because,
doing my expose into Thiel and Epstein. So I was up, and I was like, "Oh, I can't look
right.
at this right now. I have no brains left." But so I went to bed. But when I woke up, I did take a
Yeah.
look at it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But
And by the way, that's some incredible work you did. Before we go into Michael Cohen, I think we should talk about your piece. I don't know, for those of you that haven't read it, make sure today's piece that Zev put out is very explosive. It connects Epstein, Thiel, and Russia. Again, all
yeah,
roads lead back to Russia. And a very interesting person in there, Zev, what I read is again Victor Churkin. So you're starting to see this name. I remember when the first dump came out and they first mentioned Epstein, Churkin, having that text exchange where he was saying that Churkin was my man. Remember,
yeah,
and
absolutely, yeah.
and remember we had that conversation. I said you're going to see Churkin as a main player in this whole thing. Now you're starting to see the Peter Thiel and go ahead, Zev. I'm sorry.
No, no, no,
I'm talking
absolutely. I'm
about
just
your work. I'm talking about your work. Incredible work,
Look,
by
I
the way. I
was
want
I was
to
reading
say.
this, and I've been every once in a while I pick a name and I just go through their files and the Epstein files, and I could not believe what I read Thiel's and Epstein's connection. I mean, firstly, it's very detailed and it's very personal, They talk about all sorts of things, including Thiel's drug habits and all sorts of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily share with anyone who wasn't a very good friend or someone you trusted. But in the middle of there's two moments where they're talking about Churkin, where they're talking about setting up a meeting for
Yep.
Thiel with Churkin, Vitaly Churkin, who was the UN ambassador from Russia to the UN. His office just 3 or 4 blocks away from Epstein's home. 8 minutes of walking, and it's fascinating. This happened 5 weeks before the 2016 election. Then, previous to that, there was a meeting in 2015 with Belyakov, Sergei Belyakov, the deputy minister of the economy in Russia, with Thiel that Epstein set up. So Epstein set up 2 meetings, one with Belyakov, one with Churkin. Both men are connected to the FSB. Both men are connected to intelligence operations. So it's, whether Thiel knew it or not, who knows? But he was connecting with Russian figures, just as he was also one of the biggest influencers in the Trump campaign. He was a big donor. He spoke at the convention. He was part of the transition team. He was there at the transition team offices, telling people who was going to be in what positions. And it's
I'll give you a better one. I
yeah,
mean, Peter Thiel gave me and Rudy his plane when we went in 2018 around the country campaigning for Trump. It was in Peter Thiel's private jet. I'll even show you a picture of it.
wow. In the midterms, the
Yeah,
2018 midterms.
yeah, yeah. I'll show you.
Wow.
I'll show
That
you a
kind of
picture.
detail is so priceless because we don't know what conversations he had with Churkin, and we don't know what conversations he had with Belyakov. On paper, it's about technology, but um, in all likelihood, there's something else going on there because there's also $40 million were donated, or not donated, invested by Epstein into Valar, which was a fund that Peter Thiel set up in 2015 and in 2016. $15 million in 2015 as the Trump campaign was getting going, and $25 million a year later. Now, maybe that money is
So
for
this
investment.
this is
Yeah.
this is the jet.
Yeah. It's Thiel's
That's
jet.
me and Rudy.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'll show. Hold on. I'll show you inside the jet.
Do you know Thiel?
I have not met Teal. I met Teal. Oh, that's me in the jet.
Oh, nice. That's a good way to travel. Uh,
That's Rudy.
yeah, amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Your story is always amazing. Your photos are amazing. Your knowledge of this. Now, it's not surprising to you, is it, that Russia was involved with all these players, obviously, but it is interesting to read them in the Epstein files. I mean, no one has said out loud Jeffrey Epstein was involved in the Donald Trump campaign for president in 2016. I mean, it's not like, that's a big deal.
Oh, 100%. I mean, listen, what people are starting to realize, and you're one of the better journalists when it comes to investigating the money links, and you've been talking about all of these connected dots, and that's why I think it's extremely important about connecting the dots when we say follow the money. I mean, if you take a look at most of these, from Peter Thiel to Elon Musk, you name it. If you look at their initial investors, Sergey Brin, any of these, Google, any of these companies, that if you take a look at the first round of investors, their main investors, majority of money came from Russia.
Yeah.
There was always a link, to that, and it's never been like, so that's why when I was seeing all of the Epstein dumps coming out, and in the beginning, and even till now, I mean, yes, we've seen a whole dump about finally about his Epstein's connection to Russia, and we're seeing Cherokee, but that's nothing, because if compared to just what we're seeing, and if you use your common sense, we should be seeing so much more.
Yeah.
There should be so much more, because just from looking at the type of relationships, the type of meetings, the type of conversations that were going on from bits and pieces, knowing these people, living that life, being around them, I could tell yes, I don't have a smoking gun and saying this is what they did, but it's like, if you could put if you've done the piece of puzzle before,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're doing the puzzle and you're missing a couple of pieces, you could still do the rest of the puzzle, because because you've done it. You could somebody else might not be able to do it because they need all the pieces, but for somebody that's done this puzzle 1,000 times,
Yeah.
so somebody like
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't surprise me at all. No.
This is what I did today. Speaking about a puzzle that you can absolutely predict, this is just a map of the connections between Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel. So here's Jeffrey Epstein, there's Peter Thiel, there's Elon Musk, and these are just this is very rough. I didn't do this in great detail today, but my point was just to try and show everybody that here's Vladimir Putin. And here's Ehud Barak, by the way, and Donald Trump is right over here, and these are the people that connect them all in before the 2016 elections. I mean, we're talking about a
Yeah.
very tight group of people, but they are all connected. And it's the
Yep.
same people we saw show up in Trump Russia when we were investigating in 2016. It's the same people we're seeing now because it's all the same people. It's not really a surprise. It's the
Yep.
same bunch of people.
Yep.
So as you point out, when you've seen the map, you've seen the dots connect. This is what happens. They all line up.
Right. And folks, I just want to tell you, shout out, to also all of you out there that are helping out, because we're getting a lot of the leads, and one of the things that like Zev, I just wanted to also, me and you spoke a little offline, but we could get everybody, up to date. We are now have a direct link with the House Democrats. We are going to be, officially crowdsourcing information for them. We've put together a group of incredible people, including Zev Shalev, which is here, Ellie Leonard, Dean Blundell, Wajahid Ali, the Krasenstein brothers, Kate Justice, and a few more that want to stay anonymous, that have been doing some incredible work getting the stuff. And now we're going to do this crowd sourcing for them by delivering them this information. So, folks, I just want you to know that our voices are being heard. Our petition is being also delivered. We have almost 30,000 voices, folks. Almost 30,000 people signed the petition, and
Wow,
that's why,
great.
when they heard in Congress, they couldn't believe it. And we're going to be delivering it officially, pressing the button, I think Monday or Tuesday. So if you haven't signed it yet, make sure you sign it, because as you could see, so many different things every day. Just now, while I was going live, one of our sources sent us a tremendous amount of files having to do with emails containing to people in Trump's circle right now, leading up to emails between them going up to 2024, where they're hiding things or going back into the Epstein files. These are people on the inside that are sharing these emails. It's incredible. I'm going to share some with you, Zev. I haven't had a chance, but we just keep untangling more and more and more, and that's why, folks, today we're gonna, because there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of news going on, and some important stuff. Where Zev has reported on it earlier, I've reported on mine. The fact that there's accountability happening all over the world, except for in the United States, when it comes to the Epstein files, is just ridiculous. We literally seen today. Forget about Prince Andrew and Andrew and in the UK. We seen today the Dubai in Dubai, basically in the UAE, which is a country that is a lot different when it comes to women's rights and how they look at things. But we've seen one of the top, what is his name? How do you
Oh,
pronounce
the
it
Sultan.
correctly?
The
Zev?
Sultan. Let me find his.
Sultan.
I can't
Yeah.
remember his name, but
The Sultan,
yeah,
the Sultan, yeah,
it's
he's the
somewhere
biggest.
here.
Yeah, he's one of the most powerful men in the Middle East. He's been with Trump several times, and he stepped down, folks. He stepped down. So
And he's been
accountability is
arrested,
happening.
apparently. Not even just stepped down. I just read before we
Oh,
went on the air.
really?
He's also been
Oh,
arrested. The
wow.
former prime
That's breaking
minister
news.
of Norway has also been arrested today. Kathy Rumler, the Goldman Sachs lawyer, who was also very connected to Jeffrey Epstein, she stepped down today. We're seeing a lot of people lose their. Peter Mendelsohn he's now been charged in the United
Yep.
Kingdom. I mean, we are
Yep.
seeing a lot of heads fall. And it's because
No.
of
Yeah.
this incredible pressure and discovery that we've all been doing to expose Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this doesn't happen on its own. It's happened because the American public has been pushing for this, and the Transparency Act was enacted to allow us to see all the files. And even though we haven't seen all the files, these people are going from just the little bit that we've seen, which is kind of telling that we still have people like Lutnick and Bondi and company, all of them, and Trump still in the administration. When around the world, people are getting arrested, losing their titles, losing their jobs, and being
And
disrespected by all of their societies. It's so the world is really showing America that it needs to stand up and do the same
it's
thing it's
interesting.
doing and start arresting people.
Absolutely. But, it's interesting that you mentioned some names there. You mentioned Donald Trump, but you also mentioned people around him like Howard Lutnick, right?
Mhm.
Like, Steve Witkoff. I mean, Howard Lutnick is a person that, came on TV, nobody asked him, tried to play this big shot role. He did literally a Michael Cohen, which we're going to get into because this is the same pattern of everybody in Trump's orbit. The first thing they do is they brag and show off that they, release the files. Oh, I've
Mhm.
never I looked at that massage table. Me and my wife looked at me and we said, "Oh, never again are we going. That guy's a creep." Michael Cohen, release the files, release the files. All of a sudden, the files get released. Michael Cohen's in it. Howard Lutnick is it. What do? They don't come out there and say, "Let's talk about what happened." The first thing they do is deflect. They
Mhm.
do, they blame somebody else. They lie, they attack, they threaten. Same thing as you saw Pam Bondi do yesterday. You saw the same exact MO. She didn't come there answering questions. She came there deflecting, attacking, threatening, screaming. You take a look at any one of them, and it's like mini Donald Trumps. And Michael Cohen is a very major example. Today, me and Zev are doing a special expose when it comes to Michael Cohen because, just, if I may, Zev, can I give everybody a little
Yeah, go for it,
background because
please.
some might not know, and it's very important. So, folks, I want to first start off in saying a lot of people, excuse me, start off these conversations by saying that nothing personal against Michael Cohen. And I want to make it very clear for those people that say that, and one of them is my dear friend Wajahid Ali, and I told him today, don't ever do that again because that is personal. Because Michael Cohen is no different than Donald Trump. Michael Cohen is no different than Steve
I
Bannon.
cut you
Michael
initially.
Cohen is no different.
I lost you
Excuse
there,
me?
but you're back. You're back. Sorry, I just missed
Oh
what you
yeah,
said.
yeah. That's it. I said what I was saying to you is Michael Cohen is no different than any other person inside the Epstein files. Michael Cohen has an accountability and that he needs to respond. So when we asked the questions and Michael Cohen started deflecting, all it made us do is go further and further, ask more questions, dig deeper and deeper, and just like what's happening with Donald Trump, the same thing happened with Michael Cohen until eventually Michael Cohen decided to attack, deflect. Now, I want to take you back, going back to the beginning of the year in January. If you remember, in January, I came out when this whole Michael Cohen thing started. It was because Zev confronted him, and Ellie confronted him, and Tara confronted him on some questions having to do with several different issues, but all having to do with his time in the Trump administration. That would be obviously that he, even if he didn't have anything to do with it, he would definitely at least have heard about it, known about it. It would be impossible that. And Michael Cohen, in all three situations, basically pretended he knew nothing about it. It was an impossibility. We all understood that obviously Michael Cohen is hiding something. We kept pressing him, from the financial stuff that Zev was asking him with the deal that happened with Rubelov and involving Epstein, that the house, the $50 million, whatever you want to call
The
it,
Maison L'Amitié was what it was called. It was a yeah,
Mizotif.
yeah,
Yeah,
the House of
to
Friendship,
the fact.
ironically.
Exactly, exactly to the fact that Michael Cohen was involved with a Jane Doe case that he's kept making up stories about and giving different versions about, going on Joy Reid, doing all of these things, claiming attacking Zev, attacking me, threatening to sue people, doing exactly what Donald Trump does. If you take a look what he's doing with the same thing he's doing with everybody that's pressuring him about the Epstein files, he's acting the same exact way. So we kept digging and digging. And today, so let me keep going in the back. So in the beginning of January, there was a time where I came out and I reported saying that Michael Cohen is reaching out to the White House, if you remember, and he's trying to get a pardon. Michael Cohen then a couple of days later went live from Florida, and he pretended that well, he didn't pretend, he was at his parents. So but he said that he came to visit his parents. Well, today what we found out is that 3 weeks ago, Michael Cohen was in Florida, maybe to see his parents, but he was here taping a show with a very far right podcaster. And At the same time, he was trying to get in a meeting at
And
Mar-a-Lago.
for the record,
Sorry, I didn't
individual
mean for that to
number
go.
one
Sorry.
is
Oh,
President
I'm sorry.
Donald
I'm
J.
sorry.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna play you. So I want you guys to sit back today. Today's gonna be a little of a different type of a show. Usually we do a lot of talking, but today what we've done is me and Zev have compiled. Zev actually, it's his expertise. Have compiled basically some incredible. He's taken a 2-hour interview that Michael Cohen did with this podcaster, and some of you might have know who this podcaster is. It is PBD podcast, Patrick Bet David. He's a far right podcaster. Donald Trump has been on his podcast. Steve Bannon constantly there. Charlie Kirk's constantly there. I mean, he's probably as bad far right?
Yeah, he's a pretty. I've never really followed him, but I know that his work has been pretty far right. I mean, he's pretty open to a lot of ideas, but he's on the right for sure. That's his market.
Exactly. Now, the importance of what we're telling you here, and a lot of people say enough with Michael Cohen, and it's not going to be enough with Michael Cohen. That's why I keep telling you, is because Michael Cohen is another thread that is a direct link to Donald Trump, direct
That's a
link
really
to
important
Epstein,
point.
and
Can I just underline?
yes,
We're
please
not,
go ahead,
no
please,
one's going after
please.
Michael Cohen per se, although, we've got lots of things to question him about. What we're looking for is the truth about Donald Trump. What we're looking for is exactly what Donald Trump did with Jeffrey Epstein. Because
Yep,
there's a lot, as we've pointed out even today, there's a lot of financial stuff, there's sexual stuff, there's
yep.
potential murders, he knows a lot. Michael Cohen was the fixer. He was there all the time. He knows a lot, but he's not telling a lot. Just to interrupt you there, so, but
Yes, no,
it's important.
thank you very much. It's very, very important. And the important part is you see how Zev just said Michael Cohen's a fixer. So Michael Cohen comes on Substack. And this is important because Substack is a primarily Democratic platform, and
Can be.
even in the, primarily independent, more central, more left, but definitely not MAGA. No, definitely not far right. And if the ones that are, they're just trolls, but primarily it's the
I think it
opposite of
depends on
let's
the
say
echo
to
chamber you're in, but I think Substack
maybe
has some people on
possibly.
the right that, Michael Flynn's on
Yes,
there. I see him all the time. There's some people,
you're possibly
yeah.
right. And I'm not too well with technology, but maybe it's the echo chambers that we're in, and you're definitely right. But Michael Cohen happens to be in our echo chamber, in
Mhm.
our group of people where we're trying to save our democracy. Michael Cohen comes out and talks, saying that he wants to save our democracy. Michael Cohen asks people to support him, just like we do, to go save our democracy. So when it's time to save our democracy, right now, when we have the Epstein files and we're all sitting digging in them, it's weird that Michael Cohen is not digging in them with them,
No.
because like all of us said, Michael Cohen. Just think about it. If we and we're going to get into what is the important part, but Michael Cohen should be right now on the phone with Zev, on the phone with Ellie, on the phone with me, Tara, and saying, and we should be going through. Oh, we got this text. Oh, you know Howard Lutnick. Oh, you know this. Hey, Michael, what do you remember in 2010 at this meeting? Well, we found this, Michael. Oh, it says here that you were involved in this real estate deal. See, Michael Cohen right away assumes because we say you were involved in this real estate deal that
Mhm.
he thinks we're attacking him and we're trying to, oh, we got Michael Cohen. We need to get Michael Cohen. Very important what Zev just told you. We don't care about Michael Cohen. We know if Michael Cohen has information, if he was involved in the real estate deal, that he could lead us to Donald Trump. That's the objective we're trying to do.
Mhm.
We're not trying to find a way to punish Michael Cohen. We don't care about that. Michael Cohen has to, that's whatever he has to face it himself. We're trying to right now save our democracy, not go after individuals. Michael Cohen just happens to be in the way, folks. Michael Cohen has put himself in the way. He chose to be in the way. He could be very easily helping. So, what today we're going to do is usually we're sitting there talking about him, and a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are saying this, he's saying this. Today, we're going to let you listen in his own voice. So what Zev has done, Michael Cohen went on this podcast. He went down there 3 weeks ago. Now, why is it important 3 weeks ago? Because he went on there before he went on Joy Reid. He went on this podcast and he lied to Joy Reid. Joy Reid is a dear friend. I spoke to her. She's extremely upset today that he did that to her and put her on the spot like that. He went on this podcast before he found this quote unquote lawyer that he was dealing with that then happened to be Katie Johnson's lawyer. So he went on this. So that's why it's very important to watch Michael Cohen's action, because this is Michael Cohen, not today. This is Michael Cohen, beginning of the year, when Michael Cohen was still fighting, saying that he has no plan. At the same time that Michael Cohen taped this interview, Michael Cohen was also, this is when he put out that Substack letter, if you remember, about Tish James and Alvin Bragg. Very important. This is the timing, because this is when Michael Cohen tried to make his move and tried to get Trump's attention. When he couldn't get Trump's attention fully, even though he helped him, even though that's going to be used, he is now using this far right podcast to be able to speak to Donald Trump directly. And today, you're going to get a chance to hear Michael Cohen talking, not here on Substack, not sitting here with a blood pressure machine telling you that the wolf pack is attacking me and woe is me. But you're going to hear Michael Cohen, how he talks about all of you subscribers. You know what he calls you? The radical left. This is the words he uses. And you know who else uses these words? Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Steve Bannon. So when people tell me enough with that Michael Cohen, no, it's not enough, because we have a 70,000 people here on Substack fighting instead of saving our demand. Because you know the crazy part? Most of Michael Cohen's subscribers subscribe either to me, to Zev, to Ellie, to Waj, to Joy Reid, to my son Aaron, to Midas Touch, and they're confused.
Because
They're
that's what he
confused.
did.
They're like,
He came out
exactly.
of he
just
came out of
confused them.
prison and he said, "Mea culpa. I'm going to be on the left. I'm going to be the truth guy. I'm going to be the tell you the real truth about Donald Trump." And he hasn't told the real truth about Donald Trump. He's just been
Not even a
masquerading
dozen.
as somebody inside this community, pretending to be on the side of democracy.
Yep, and today we're gonna play. So Zev has
Yeah.
taken a series. We will also post later on the full. If you want to watch the full, we'll let you know where to go watch it. You could go watch the full episode. It's a 2 hours. It's extremely. I will tell you, you're gonna want to throw up if you listen to it for 2 hours. You're gonna want to cry. You're gonna want to break your television, your computers, all of you, all of the above. So we suffered and listened through it to be able to put to collective to give you a good enough idea where you're going to be able to listen right now, and then we'll discuss after each clip. We'll discuss the true meaning and what Michael Cohen's doing, and so you could see in his own voice. While here he is playing that he's trying to build communities where he's trying to get the truth, where what he's actually doing is turning Democrats into MAGA instead of MAGA into Democrats. Because right now, if you go on this platform, there are plenty of people there that support us, used to support us, or still support some of us, that are out there attacking me, attacking Zev, attacking Ellie, attacking Waj, and everybody else, because we're asking Michael Cohen question, and because Michael Cohen ends up going to the hospital because he has blood pressure, and it is our fault because we did that. Michael Cohen has threatened to sue us. Michael Cohen has insulted us. Michael Cohen has defamed us. But it's not stopping us, because at the end of the day, we are going to keep digging and getting the answers to the questions. So Zev, why don't you play the
Yes, let's
first
play the
video?
first.
Let's
This
start
is the
off with
opening
yeah,
sequence. So let's watch it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, is the audio for this? Oh, hang on 1 second. Try once again.
Trump. Ex-Trump attorney Michael Cohen says New York prosecutors pressured him to target President Trump.
I would never have testified. I didn't want to.
And you've been canceled now by both sides.
They started getting 20,000 people telling them if Michael Cohen remains on the network, we're unsubscribing. My audience will say, are you back in his camp? Are you bending the knee? I almost can't say anything.
You chose that job. That comes with the territory. So there's probably two communities watching this saying, why would Michael Cohen go on the PBD podcast? And number two, why would we have Michael Cohen on the podcast today after he just got fired by Midas Touch? They cut his show and we started talking. We've been talking for about almost 2 years because I wanted to get him on to talk about some of the decisions that he made. And it was very uncomfortable in certain moments, very awkward in certain moments, but he was very open. He said some things that I did not think he was going to say. I asked him a question. I said, who do you trust and who trusts you? You will be very surprised by the answer he gave. And he got emotional when he gave the answer. I said, do you want a pardon from the president? You know, which side do you trust more, the left or the right? You've been attacked by both sides. Which one is worse? And he was very frank and very open about it. Right before we were going live, he was doing a talk for 100 universities, some of the biggest universities, Yale being one of them, to tell them how to handle the lawsuit, how to deal with the president. He opens up and talks about that. Of course, he told a lot of stories behind the scenes with the president, and you'll see a moment, even an initiative that he's wanting to share on why he may want to go to the White House and sit down and talk to the president. This is Michael Cohen, President Trump's lawyer, wants to go and talk to the president. You're going to watch this, and I don't know how you're going to process this, but I think by the time it's over, you're going to say, this is definitely the last thing I would have thought for Michael Cohen to do on this show on PBD Podcast. With that being said, enjoy the interview. Who is Michael Cohen?
So, let's just talk about that beginning bit there, because what we heard there is news, because this guy's saying that he wanted to meet Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
Even when you see the president, he wanted to go and talk to the president. Now, that is not something he's told anyone on Substack.
Well, I've been telling you. I mean, this is the whole thing. This is what he is, and we're gonna play more clips. This was just a promo clip, just that gives you a little bit bits and pieces, but that's extremely important, right? Because there's two things you saw already that we're gonna talk about that are extremely important. First of all, in the promo clip, what did he say? I never wanted to testify.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about, because Michael Cohen's made a lot of money, and he's been about the fact that he's been going after Donald Trump, and that he's been trying to save our democracy, put away Donald Trump. Today, you're going to hear the truth. Why Michael Cohen testified against Donald Trump. You're going to hear the truth in Michael Cohen's own words, not mine, not Zev's, not Ellie's, not Dean's, not Waj's. You're going to hear Michael Cohen himself talk. You even saw the face of this right-wing podcaster. He's like you're going to be in shock. Michael Cohen's here. When you hear what he has to say, and Michael Cohen wants to go. So, Zav, let's play the first clip. Let's play
and you
another
said
one.
You were compelled and coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the case against and secure a judgment and convictions against Trump. You say this in your Substack. Not a crazy thing. This is your opinion against Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. Then we get news that Midas Touch drops you. This is 10 or 12 days ago. Drops, fired, cutting away, whatever word they want to use. They fired the podcast and they move on. If you were at any other place, you're not getting fired. So your position today, who has Michael Cohen's back? I want to hear your thoughts.
My wife, my daughter, my son.
Okay.
And those people who are more.
That one cut out early, but let me keep going here with the next one.
Would you do anything differently?
Yeah.
Specifically because to me, okay. Well, let me ask a question.
So let me give you.
Well,
better
before you go
way to
into that, let's talk about that short clip for a second.
Okay, yeah, sure, go for it.
What ended up pushing me?
Sorry, you can talk.
Yeah, it's important because even though that was a short clip, I want you to see what they're setting up over there, and it's very important.
I'm not hearing you now. Is there something wrong with the audio? Keep talking. Just want to make sure the audio is.
Yeah. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Should be okay. I can still see you, so you must be okay. Keep going.
Okay. So if you guys hear me, no sound. They're saying no sound. People are saying
Oh,
no sound.
maybe it's maybe I turned you down. I turned you down by mistake. There you are.
Yeah. Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. You hear me now? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. You hear? So that okay. So that a little part over there, they're talking about the Midas touch. They're talking about first of all, you could see the timing when they did the video because they said Midas touch dropped you like 10 days ago. So this is the very beginning of January when Midas touch dropped him about a month ago when he did the video. Second of all, they're talking about how the left, that the only place because they dropped him for speaking the truth. So Michael Cohen is basically they're setting up a pretense that because Michael Cohen decided to tell the truth how he felt about Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, then right away Midas Touch cut him
Mhm.
because Midas Touch is so left, and it's also this is very important, folks, because they're setting up this whole Letitia James and Alvin Bragg situation. So go ahead, play the next one. I gotta
All
grab
right.
my dog. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Would you do anything differently? Specifically because to me, okay. Well, let me ask a question.
So
a
let me
different way.
let me give you the better way to sort of frame this question. What ended up pushing me into the hands of prosecutors was never my desire. It was never my goal. I never wanted the FBI to raid my home, my hotel that I was staying at, or my law office. I never wanted it. Why did it happen? Well, the Russia hoax. And I've always maintained that the Steele dossier was bullshit. I never went to Prague. I've never been to Prague. They claimed I had $10 million in cash in Prague to pay off Russian compromise, and so none of it is true. All 13 allegations raised against me were a lie. I went and I saw the president in the Oval Office the very first time I received a request to appear before SIPSI, the Senate Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And I said, no.
This is when he claims that he didn't testify at the end of the day. Look, I mean, it is completely untrue that, of course, the Russia hoax was a hoax. We know that there is voluminous evidence from Mueller, from, just a lot of places that point to the fact that it's not a hoax. Even the stuff I was talking about today clearly shows that it's not a hoax. This thing that he always goes to about Prague, I mean, I don't know if you went to Prague. Who knows if you went to Prague? I assume he's probably been to
Cares?
Prague.
But
Yeah,
who
yeah,
cares if he went to Prague? It doesn't see this is the but
yeah.
that's the whole technique, and this is I was part of MAGA, so
No,
that's why I want everybody to understand. Don't concentrate on that. He
yeah.
keeps mentioning it, just like Donald Trump. It's like Donald Trump used to mention the P tape.
Yeah.
It's like and Michael Cohen tells you because he catches you. Yeah, so out of 100 things, there's one thing that might have been wrong in the Steele dossier, and that's all Michael Cohen talks about.
Because
He
the
talks
truth,
about he's never been to Prague. He doesn't talk about everything else in the dossier. He talks about that he's never been to Prague.
and
That's
what he
the
doesn't talk
crazy.
about a lot is the fact that he was the guy, and I remember seeing these emails where he and Felix Sater were talking about how they were going to build a new reality where Trump and Putin were going to be seen together in this new unified
Yeah.
vision, and they were going to, they build this new world together with these two leaders coming together. And then he was the guy during the campaign who was negotiating a Trump Tower in Moscow, which is completely
Yep.
illegal. There's no doubt in my mind that you should not be a president and negotiating a conflict of interest like that with an adversarial state, and yet he was doing it. And to say that any of this was a hoax when he was directly involved, there is evidence of him going up to Donald Trump during one of the debates, before the debates, and talking about building this Trump Tower, giving him an update on the Trump Tower in Moscow. I mean, right there is, he's being very selective, Lev. He's being very selective about what he wants to talk about. And obviously he knows a lot more than he's saying.
Well, yeah. Why don't you play some more so people could hear with their own voice exactly, what Michael Cohen is trying to achieve and what he's doing.
Also, this nonsense about him not desiring, not wanting to testify. It's just,
Well,
completely nonsense.
that you have a bigger clip there where he really explains
Yeah, let me
about
see.
that because that's important because Michael Cohen is actually telling you what it's important for people to hear how he ended up testifying, why and how he feels about Donald Trump.
Be part of that 2%.
Listen.
98%. Wow, you must be a genius. How come you and every single prosecutor has a 98% conviction rate? The answer? Because they control all the levers. They control the whole game.
Still?
Still. And with me, what happened? I didn't want to testify. I was subpoenaed every single time within which to testify. Had I not had to testify the first time around, none of this would have gone on. I had no desire within which to. And it's not a question. You use the word flip. It's not a question of flip. It's a question of answering questions, responding to questions.
No, you flipped, though.
It's not a flip.
Michael, you flipped.
When you
flip, went on every single channel, you talk negatively about the president.
Only when you flip, when you get a benefit from it. What benefit have I ever received? In other words, think about the mob. Think about the mob. When they flip on their boss.
I will tell you, yeah.
Okay, what did I get?
Oh, no, what you got, you didn't get. What you wanted, you didn't get.
What did I want?
What didn't you want? You didn't want a pardon from Biden? You didn't hope that he would pardon you like
by the way, with all due respect?
He said, I want to depoliticize the concept of pardoning, and then he ends up pardoning his son and
his
Fauci
family.
And his family and all the J6, committee.
Mind
all
you,
this
when I asked for that pardon, I was already finished and I was already off paper 6 years. So flipping, you don't do it post facto, right? I'm not asking for a post-mortem award. I wanted it. But early
Michael,
on, but that wasn't happening.
So I've sat down with actual mobsters. I've probably done more mob interviews than anybody else in the podcast world. And you talk any one of them, they'll come and talk to me.
So that isn't what flipping actually entails. Flipping doesn't mean you're actually going to get a deal. You're sitting here, Lev Parnas, as an example of someone who also flipped, who he didn't get a deal. He didn't get a deal. So he's making that up, of course. That is not what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then this other part of it where he's talking about testifying, not wanting to testify. He was so eager. I remember covering him day in and day out about how excited he was to come and tell us all of the truth about that monster Donald Trump. He was going to, testify in the Senate every single day. And he was like, I'm going to tell you exactly what kind of guy this guy is. He's a terrible guy. He kept saying day in and day out. He was very into it at the time. He's not, not reluctant at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, now the truth is that, and I want you to play a clip, because the clip where he talks about how very importantly that if somebody would have just cared for him, he wouldn't have testified. He would have went to prison for 3 months like Wexelberg. So just while Zev is going to key up this, I want to just give you guys just understand how crazy this man is and to what extent, Michael, this is a very important clip that you need to listen to, where Michael Cohen is basically saying that if Donald Trump would have just reached out and showed him some love and told him, like, I care about you, like he did with Wexelberg, he would have no problem to keeping his mouth shut and going to prison for 3, 4 months, 6 months. Yeah. Instead, I'm saying to you, he got no love. And that's what Michael Cohen is really upset. Just like he's upset with us. He wants Donald Trump to apologize. He wants, some love. Go ahead, play that clip, Zach, because I think that's it.
So deserving, so bad, that I deserve to be not just thrown under the bus, but how about run over, not once, not twice, but a half a dozen times. And I was like, okay, I guess I am on my own.
So what's your next move when that happens? Because I got a bunch of follow-up questions, but I want to know what you do exactly after that. You see this, you know what the signs are. You're like, I don't think I'm on the inner circle anymore. I'm on the outer, if not the ousted, like I'm about to be ousted. What's your next move?
I just continue. I had no moves. It wasn't as if I
didn't. Did you approach him? Did you talk to him about it? Did you see the calls declining in a major way?
I was told by people like Jay Sekulow, oh, don't worry, I'm speaking to the boss. Everything's going to be fine. Ultimately, I realized that Sekulow is lying to me. They then tried to send in this scumbag, Bob Costello, a lawyer who was with Rudy Giuliani. They tried to infiltrate the defense where he wanted to come in. It's really a terrible. This, by the way, would be probably an Oscar-winning movie because it's so outlandish, it's so ridiculous. Nobody would possibly believe that this is true.
What do you make of that?
I mean, he's basically sitting there and telling. But before we go to that, Zev, because I'm seeing some of the comments from
Mhm.
some of the people, there's very few, but there's some people that persist to say that, why are you making Cohen the focal point, or why? Just with all the respect, folks, and I mean this with all the respect. If you're not trolling, and if you're not like really trying to disrupt this, and you really don't want to listen about Michael Cohen, and you don't understand how important what we're trying to explain to you, that this is not Michael Cohen. This has to do with Epstein files, Donald Trump, what's taking place right now, why Donald Trump's going to get his 34 convictions overturned, how Michael Cohen's starting a new podcast with how there's going to be a movement now towards, making him. If you don't want to hear any of that, there's no problem. You're not forced to stay on, because not every show, not every breaking news is meant for everybody, and you're more than welcome. So, but please don't come here and disrupt, because this show today, especially about Michael Cohen. So there's folks on here that want to hear the truth, where the connection is, because this is stuff you don't see every day. Where Michael Cohen, it's like Donald Trump in his own voice, is telling you that he lied to you for 6, 7 years, that he's never wanted to testify, that Donald Trump is a good guy, that if he only showed them some love, if you're hearing this is important, because right now you have over 70,000 people on Substack, over 500,000 people on YouTube that follow this man that goes out there and lies, and these are votes, folks. These are people that are confused, and these are people that he is now. If you would have went to listen to his podcast today, Zev, I listened to a little bit of it just because I wanted to hear what was going on. He was basically telling his people that if they really knew the real Donald Trump, they would not be so upset, that Donald Trump is not as bad as they really think. And you actually had people on there, and some of these people, I see the names, follow us, and they're really saying, yeah, Michael, I believe you. Nobody knows the inside like you, Michael. Make sure your blood pressure, Michael. Watch your, what's it called? All they are jealous of you, Michael. All they want is this. And I'm like, oh my God, like, are you really kidding me? This is another cult. So what I'm saying to you folks, we're not trying to get no cults over here. We're giving information. Me and Zev have worked very hard, and some of our sources are risking a lot to bring you this information that the media is not talking about. The media is not reporting about this stuff. If we would not be talking about it, if Ellie didn't find that email, right now, most of you would still be supporting Michael Cohen. You would be giving money. Michael Cohen would be playing his game behind the scenes, trying to get a pardon. And then one day, everybody would wake up and say, holy shit, what happened to us? Michael Cohen decided to flip, and now is using all this information that Michael has. Because trust me when I tell you, Michael Cohen has a lot of information that he's a professional fixer, that he has done now in the Democratic Party, that now he's trying to use to be able to get a pardon with Trump. I'm telling you guys, you want to believe it, don't believe it.
Well,
I don't care, but it's the truth. I just want to go ahead, Zev. I
yeah,
just
look,
want
I
to
mean,
make
there's a thing
sure.
called an active opposition, which happens every time you have an autocratic government like this, in a warfare situation like this, in an asymmetrical war like this. What they try to do is they try to make members of the opposition to themselves be loyal to them. So they often install people on the other side. In this case, it would be MAGA installing people on the Democratic side who are going to be sympathetic, at least initially, are going to be very opposed to the person. But then over time, they reveal themselves to be something else, or they're much softer in their opposition. And it happens everywhere. It's happened in Ukraine. There's a few examples of it in Ukraine that
Absolutely.
are very, very obvious. But it's happened every time you have an autocratic government. It's part of the playbook. It's what Russia does. They like to control both sides of the war. So they control the opposition as well. And it's not hard to imagine how someone like Michael Cohen could actually be doing that kind of role. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he takes orders. I'm just saying it looks to me like he's playing that role where he's pretending to be part of the anti-Trump world, but the messaging is not anti-Trump.
Well, the most important thing you just said there. See, Michael Cohen, though, when people forget, yes, he does know Donald Trump better than most people out there. That's why he doesn't need to take orders from Donald Trump. He doesn't need to get. He knows what Donald Trump is. What. That's why what you're watching in this interview, it's him speaking to Donald Trump. That interview was not for MAGA
Mhm.
folks. He doesn't want MAGA to take him back. That doesn't do anything for him. He doesn't want his. Just think about the chance he's taking by going on this far right. He knows the blowback. He's already going on his own channel ahead of time, saying, making this far right mega podcaster seem like he's some centrist, and that he just had a podcast with somebody to discuss some things, and it's no big deal, and we should be listening to other people's opinions, and not even telling him who that podcaster is. So this is the game he plays. You know what I'm saying to you? In the meantime, in reality, he knows what Donald Trump wants. Donald
Yeah.
Trump wants to get his convictions overturned, and Michael Cohen has given him that by simply turning around and already starting the process by claiming that Alvin Bragg and Letitia James have coerced him. And now he's come out, went even a step further, saying that he's never wanted to testify, that they've always pushed him, that this has been, an ongoing situation. He's also, you're going to hear in some of the clips we're going to put out, how he praises Donald Trump, talks about Donald Trump as a great baseball player, and talks about how he's such a great guy, how he doesn't laugh anymore, how Michael Cohen sees that Donald Trump is not as happy as he would be if Michael Cohen was there. It's really even sick to listen to some of this conversation, because if you look at even Brett David, he's sitting there like, holy shit, like, is this coming out of Michael Cohen's mouth right now? Like, he's literally talking about Donald Trump, like, oh, it's like we were buddies. We were like, why did he turn on me? I mean, and this is important. If you could find that, Zev, like, to show the
Yeah,
people,
no,
like,
I will. I'll
where
play
he's,
you. I'm not sure if it's that exact clip, but I'm going to play you something that's we talked. I
yeah,
certainly would have time looking at footage of him from back then. He was so enamored with Donald Trump. He would walk around. He would only feel himself when he had Donald Trump with in his vicinity.
That's some things that I did not think he was going to say. I asked him a question. I said, "Who do you trust and who trusts you?" You will be very surprised by the answer he gave, and he got emotional when he gave the answer. I said, "Do you want a pardon from the president? Which side do you trust more, the left or the right? You've been attacked by both sides. Which one is worse?" And he was very frank and very open about it. Right before we were going live, he was doing a talk for 100 universities, some of the biggest.
With that title, I was honored he gave it to me. It was one of the few times in my life, other than when my children were born, I had tears in my eyes. Tears.
Think about that. Listen to this.
That's exactly what I want. I don't want to be chief of staff. How can I monetize that position as chief of staff? I don't want to live in D.C. I lived in D.C. for 4 years. My son was a senior in high school. My daughter was a senior in college. My son was a ball player, playing actually for Hank's Yanks, the high school travel baseball team for the New York Yankees. He had tryouts with the Chicago White Sox, with the Yankees, the Mets. As a young boy, I wanted to be there for every single game. And in fact, I can just tell a good story about Trump. And I've told the story many times. It's not as if I only said bad things about him. I also said some positive things about him. But you're not wrong when you say I told. Trump was a baseball player when he was at NYMA, New York Military Academy. And how do I know that?
He's just feeding the ego, right? He's just feeding the story. And this is, he hasn't said one negative thing in this entire show.
no,
Ellie,
well,
I see Ellie's online. If you want to join in, just let us know in the chat, and I'll send you a link.
Yeah, that's why I just asked her if Ellie wants to come up. I just texted her, but yeah, 100%. It's not even. It's very important. Like just listen to what he says. Like, no, she can't. She has to do something, but she's definitely with us here in the chat room. But she
She's
can't
so good
jump
at
up.
multitasking.
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah. But very important. Yeah, I mean, you hear him talk like he misses like I don't only say bad things. I say good things about Donald Trump. He was a great baseball player. He praises him. Like he talks about him, and if you hear it in his voice, it's like we were pals. Like And there's another very important thing which I don't know if you have that clip, because I think it's extremely important. In the beginning, they start off, and this is I think very thrown in there, but it's very important. And some of our survivors, not survivors, too. Some of our volunteers have helped write a letter. So shout out to them, and I'm going to read the letter. So Michael Cohen did a very interesting thing, guys. Zev, if you could find that right in the beginning about the schools, while I
About the
tell them
universities.
what's going on. About the universities,
Okay.
yes. So Michael Cohen basically started up. Let me see where this is. Okay, let me get this. Hold on a second. Michael Cohen, prior to coming on here, had a what's it called? Meeting, Zoom call with 100 universities, and he was invited by the Yale president, Let me just get his name. Hold on a second. Bear with me.
Yeah, because he invited them to basically talk about the lawsuit that they were facing from Donald Trump and
Yes.
whether they should concede basically in this lawsuit or not. And he gives really strange advice.
He gives some strange advice, which we're gonna maybe you could play it while
Yeah,
I
let's play it.
find
Let's play it.
the letter. Play that, yeah, for a second.
And very open about it. Right before we were going live, he was doing a talk for 100 universities, some of the biggest universities, Yale being one of them, to tell them how to handle the lawsuit, how to deal with the president. He opens up and talks about that. Of course, he told a lot of stories behind the scenes with the president, and you'll see a moment, even an initiative that he's wanting to share on why he may want to go to the White House and sit down and talk to the president. This is Michael Cohen, President Trump's lawyer, wants to go and talk to the president. You're going to watch this, and I don't know how you're going to process this, but I think by the time it's over, you're going to say, this is definitely the last thing I would have thought for Michael Cohen to do on this show, on PBD Podcast. With that being said, enjoy the interview. Who is Michael
Is this
Cohen?
the same thing? Sorry. I'm sorry, some of the labeling is wrong here.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know if that's not
You
the
can
one
find
you're
it.
talking about then.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. Right
It's
here.
been about the universities. It maybe goes into it after this. Maybe as they start off here, they talk about that.
Yeah, yes. Let him keep going. I think it's in the very beginning.
Okay.
All the time. So, but if there's one thing I will tell you while the audience is watching this, they're probably surprised that you're sitting here. Like if there was anywhere you would be on a podcast right now, your audience is probably surprised you're here. And my audience is going to say,
my audience would kill me.
That's exactly what I'm saying, that
audience
you're
would
sitting
kill you.
here. So, but I got a lot of questions, a lot of things I want to go through. And by the way, it's important that the audience knows nothing is off the table. You get to choose to answer whatever way you want, and I'm going to ask my questions. But something happened right before we got live. You were doing an interview that I asked you if you're comfortable sharing with the audience. So the head of Yale asked you to speak to 100 presidents of different universities. Why?
Yeah, so it's Jeffrey Sonnenfeld.
Yep.
He's the head of the Yale University Business School. I've known Jeff for a while. I speak at Yale several times a year at Jeffrey's bequest. He brought in 100 university presidents, and the question that they were discussing, the topic, was how to deal with Donald Trump as it relates to being the head of a university. As we all know, Trump is right now in litigation with Harvard. When I say Trump, I'm talking about the United States of America,
Yeah.
with Trump being, of course, the president. There's litigation against Harvard based upon a multitude of issues from DEI to gender equality in the education that they're providing. But they had, like I said, 100 individuals, and they were asking me, how do you think that we should deal with President Trump in handling this issue? Because they are right now in a very precarious situation. They do not want to lose the funding, the government funding, which Trump controls and is using as leverage,
Sure.
while simultaneously they want to keep their ability to operate the school in the manner that they deem best. And that's a problem.
What feedback did you give them?
I gave them, my recommendation is to settle, and settle early. Because if you don't, Trump doesn't stop. He will keep going. He will keep pushing the envelope farther and farther. So if he starts with, say, $100 million as a payment in exchange for removing the restrictions on the grants, my suggestion, try to water down the poison as much as you can. Maybe get it down to 50 million or 75
It's
million.
exactly the opposite of what
But
most
if you
people tell
don't,
people to do with the president
He
of
and
the
his
United
team
States,
will
to stand up
continue
to him
push.
and say
Next thing you
no.
know, it's not 100, it's 250. And after 250, it goes to 500. And
I
he
can't listen to
keeps
this.
the
I
pressure.
really-
Yeah, no,
That's how we operate.
It's too much for me sometimes to take his BS.
Yeah. Cut him off. But I just want to, go ahead, Zev.
No, I
because
just
this
find
is
it
a very
you know,
important.
it's not what people say is the right way to deal with Donald Trump. What we've seen time and time again in the last few months as well is standing up to Donald Trump is the only thing that works with Donald Trump. It's the only thing he respects. He's like Vladimir Putin in that regard. They respect strength. Settling with this guy who's busy blackmailing the universities of America is the last thing anyone should be doing. Like the very last. And he knows that. He knows better.
But no, but that's the whole what's it called? Yeah, exactly. Ali's 100% right. He never told Substack that he did this interview. He tells his Substack people that he did Ali. What he tells him, and I listened a little bit to it. He tells his people that he's done an interview with some centrist, like somebody that's like in the middle, and but he's on the right, and that they're gonna do. And he's actually planning on doing a podcast with him. This is the incredible. I mean, this is just starting. But can I read a letter? I want to shout
By
out
the way,
to
can
our
I just add one thing
volunteers.
in there? At the beginning,
Yeah,
they said
go ahead.
the audience would kill him if they knew he was doing
Just
this
think about
interview.
it.
They would kill him,
Just
the
think about it.
Substack audience.
Just think about it. So exactly, just think if his audience found out that he was doing it, they would kill him. So what we did is we take initiative right away. Like I promised you, folks, this year is about action. So what Michael Cohen is doing there, folks, is he's basically doing Donald Trump's bidding, and he's going out there and using his influence inside of these universities and pressuring them, still being Michael Cohen, still being the fixer that he was before for Donald Trump. And like we said earlier, Michael Cohen knows what Donald Trump wants. So if all of a sudden these universities start caving in to Donald Trump right now, Michael Cohen's going to take credit for it. Just like Michael Cohen wants to take credit, which we'll talk about for, minorities and 70 million votes that he could bring him. Because why? Michael Cohen doesn't want to pardon 70 million people. Michael Cohen wants a pardon for himself and get Donald Trump reelected with 70 million votes, because that's the plan. Michael Cohen's offering Donald Trump 70 million votes to think. And you're going to hear in the conversation later on about exactly what Michael Cohen plans to do with this pardon and how and this whole game plan of helping Donald Trump stay in office, folks, not leaving office. Think about that. His whole plan is how to help Donald Trump stay in office. But before we go into that, why I want to read this letter, because it's important that we action. So this is a letter our volunteers put together. Jay, shout out, you incredible work that we're going to send out to each and every one of those universities. And right now we are going to do a major petition also to get rid of the Yale University or block this because of this propaganda for them having Michael Cohen do this and having this situation. So let me read it to you. I am writing in response to the feature comments delivered at the Rebounding from Surviving to Thriving Summit. That was the name of the summit Michael Cohen spoke. Presented by the Yale School of Management on January 27th, which you attended. We are profoundly disappointed that Michael Cohen was invited to speak, and we potentially influence one of the most valuable and vulnerable forms of public trust, the education of our children. By his own attorney's admission, Michael Cohen is currently withholding information related to the Epstein files. See attached, which we were putting all the stuff that we have. This alone should have disqualified him from being presented as a credible or ethical voice in the forum dedicated to leadership, resilience, and institutional values. We must be cleared either by who Michael Cohen is and what his motivations may be. Mr. Cohen is on the record stating, I will take a bullet for President Trump. He's also on the record as of January 26 claiming that he was coerced into testifying against Donald Trump. That statement was coincidentally reposted by President himself, who then moved to further obstruct the release of the Epstein files. Within 48 hours of it, the Epstein being revealed that Mr. Cohen's attorney had offered information concerning Trump and Epstein in exchange for earlier release from prison. Mr. Cohen again, please see attached, which we attached that information. Mr. Cohen's tenure as President Trump's legal fixer overlaps directly with the period during which Epstein survivors' testimonies were suppressed. As is now playing out publicly, Mr. Cohen's name appears in the Epstein files themselves. It is also notable that Mr. Cohen did not simply step away from his role as a frequent contributor to the Pious Touch Network in 2026. He was fired and let go. Further, we have strong evidence supporting that the belief that Mr. Cohen is actively seeking a pardon and reintegration into the president's inner circle. Against this backdrop, it is impossible to ignore that the broader institutional context, McKinsey and Company, who also present at the Yale School of Management Summit, previously collaborated with the administration on ICE and immigration policies, only to retreat after widespread backlash over its involvement in its controversial and harmful practices. That episode stands as a cautionary example of what happens when institutions compromise their values under political pressure. We urge you to carefully consider both the source and the motivation behind the advice being offered to you. Advice that appears to encourage acquiescence to authoritarian style consolidation of power, including influence over higher education itself. History has already shown us consequences. Law firms and institutions that bow down to pressure have lost talent, credibility, and business. Those that stood firm, banding together, defending core principles, and resisting coercion have grown stronger, attached top talent, and forced their administration into retreat. We are writing to respectfully but firmly ask you to stand strong, stand for democracy, protect your students, your faculty, and your institutional legacy. Do not bend the knee to a hostile takeover higher education. Do not accept Michael Cohen's advice to surrender. And please ask him directly to explain his motivation, including why he was very recently sniffing around Mar-a-Lago, attempting to reinstate himself into the proximity of power. The stakes of our institution, of our students, our democracy are too high for silence and surrender.
That's a great letter. That's a terrific letter. It really gets to the point. Isn't he disbarred? Is he allowed to be providing legal advice to anybody? Never mind institutions. I don't think he's legally allowed to be doing that, regardless of the fact that he's the wrong person to invite to this kind of thing. It's a very good point that you're making there. You know, I want to talk about Katie Johnson a little bit because
please go ahead.
This is let's play the clip that deals with our supposed attack on him, as he puts it. Let's take a listen to what he said about Katie Johnson, and then we'll unpack exactly what he's getting at here.
Yeah. Go.
However, there is one case that came across my desk. As Trump's special counsel, I receive an envelope, and in it is a Jane Doe case against Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Jane Doe makes the allegation that she was a child and that she was raped by Donald. Well, it's obviously concerning to me as I read through the complaint. It's Jane Doe buying through her mother and natural guardian, Mary Jane Doe. It's a little bit odd that you have the mother still in there, because if in fact that there's any truth to it, why do you need a natural guardian? You're clearly over the age of 18, within which nothing really made sense in that case to me. But I don't keep secrets from the president when something like this comes about. And so I walk over, I knock on the door. Hey, boss, can I come in? I said, I just got this crazy ass suit, this notice of lawsuit. They call that a naked summons.
Oh, not naked summons now.
What do you know about it? So he goes, Michael, it's complete and total bullshit. I said, okay. So he goes, just handle it. And we had obviously many other things going on at the time. He was running a campaign. I said, sure. So I reach out to some folks who I know. We send an investigator to the alleged address of this Mary Jane Doe, and it's a vacant parking lot. Why are you looking at me confused? Because that's the same look that I had. How's that possible?
Did you say vacant parking lot?
Vacant parking lot. You know, like a piece of dirt, land. Right. So I reach out to the lawyers, and I just start engaging them in conversation. And I don't know what made me ask. It was just a gut feeling. Sometimes you get them, and if they turn out to be the right ones. Have you ever met your client? He says, no. I said, what are you talking about? So I said, how'd you get the case? It was through the mail. He says, it's possible that maybe it's not real. You think that's possible? Because the address that's included in here is a vacant parking lot. So he goes,
it's okay. Stop the first thing. I want to say something.
I'm going to call you back.
And they ultimately, it would be hard to restart it though. So I'm going to, might as well.
Okay, let's finish. Yeah.
Did we find out who it was that sent that to him?
No. There was somebody that played them and sent in this case. Okay. All of a sudden, this left-wing ecosphere these maniacs.
Left wing
That's us.
maniacs.
They're now
yeah.
equating, for whatever the reason it may be, that this Jane Doe is someone by the name of Katie Johnson. And Katie Johnson is a real person. But I've never worked on the case of Katie Johnson. I've never looked at the file. I don't know anything about this file. That's being handled by somebody else. It's being handled by Alan Garten,
Lisa
the
Bloom.
general counsel of the Trump organization.
It's not Lisa
I have no
Bloom either.
knowledge of it. In fact,
Yeah, watch. Yes,
my
yes,
understanding is that Lisa Bloom, daughter of Gloria
There he
Allred,
goes.
was the lawyer for Katie Johnson. Now, that case was abandoned or it was dismissed. Okay, fine. What does that have to do with me? What does it have to do with the fact that there was a case that the attorneys walked away from because it was not a legitimate case? Why is all of a sudden this Jane Doe, Katie Johnson, they're not the same? Lisa Bloom, I believe, acknowledged that. They're not the same people.
She never
And
did.
it doesn't make any sense either that they would be the same person. Why would there be two cases? So you're saying that Michael Cohen threatened this Jane Doe, and so they abandoned it. And I need to try to figure out on a timeline whether that allegation is before the Katie Johnson case was filed or after. Were they going on simultaneously? Patrick, none of this makes any sense at all. And again, how much easier would it be for me just to say, oh yeah, I threatened this Jane Doe's lawyer and so on, and they managed to dismiss it, right? Pump myself up, like a boss, right? Like a capo. It's not true. It's not what happened. The lawyers walked away from it because it wasn't a legitimate case.
That is not true at all.
Plain
So,
and simple.
Not
it's-
true. Yeah.
And because I refuse to
Let
take that
finish.
opportunity
Finish. We're gonna,
within
yeah,
which to
let finish.
beat up on the president, now all of a sudden, once again, Michael's a bad guy. He's bending the knee for Trump.
Boy, that's firstly, there was only one case, obviously. There's only one case. Now, he may just remember it. Go ahead.
I apologize. What's very important here is, again, the timing of this interview. This interview was done prior to Michael Cohen getting a response back from the lawyer. Remember that supposed all of a sudden he got a response?
Right.
This is prior to Joy Reid. This is prior to all of it. So let's concentrate very carefully what Michael Cohen is now telling David, right? He's telling him that he's giving you an explanatory conversation that he had with these lawyers. He's telling you about these Jane Doe lawyers, how he had these explicit conversation. And he's telling you what they said to him. He's telling you what he said back. They told him that they didn't even see their own client. He's giving you this whole story, right? And he has telling you who's this Jane Doe lawyers. The Jane Doe lawyers he's saying is Tom Birch or whatever the gentleman's name is,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so now he's saying that because why? Because here he's also saying that Lisa Bloom is Katie Johnson's lawyer. Because what Michael Cohen forgot that Katie Johnson had more than one lawyer. She
Right.
had several lawyers that were representing her. So now Michael Cohen, fast forwarded 3 weeks later, calls Joy Reid, and this with Joy Reid is trying to find the lawyer that was handling the Jane Doe case that Michael Cohen called, and they threw it out because there was no real Jane Doe. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's who he was searching for. So when he called him, who responded? Katie Johnson's lawyer.
Mhm.
So it's the same case.
Well,
So
because
what Michael Cohen now is saying to us is what Ellie said 100%, is Michael Cohen's basically now saying what we told him all along, that it was the same case. That Michael, yes, you were dealing with Katie Johnson and Jane Doe. It was the same case, same lawyers. So stop the cover up. Go ahead, Lev,
absolutely,
I'm sorry.
that's exactly right. I mean, the Katie Johnson case was first filed under Katie Johnson in California. It was dismissed because there were some issues around the identity and whether they could give her the right kind of security. So that was filed on a technicality. It did not go to court, and then was refiled. The exact same case was refiled as a Jane Doe case in New York. And in fact, there's a lot of things that I've just found out in a limited amount of research I did today. That, for one thing, it talks about that empty parking lot and the what have you. It's not an empty parking lot, by the way. It's this. This is the location. I can show it to you, and it was the location listed in that original court case or in the original accusation, but she didn't live there.
This is a house, but still,
but it's not a parking lot.
It's not an empty parking lot, right? Everything he says is a lie.
Yeah. So we're not sure whether he sent the person to the wrong address or whether he, who knows. But now the person who was registered at this address was very unresponsive to the media at the time. That's true. So that we, probably if it was Katie Johnson, she didn't want anyone knowing, or maybe it wasn't her address at all. Who knows? But the reality of it is this is not an empty parking lot. It wasn't a parking lot. It's not a parking lot. You're not looking at a parking lot, looking at a house. It was definitely built before the Katie Johnson thing came out. So, there's a lot of issues here with what he's talking about. And then, as you point out, the lawyer himself is is just a different lawyer than Lisa Bloom. But Lisa Bloom picks up the case when she does the Jane Doe case. And that case looks like this. And, I'll show you the actual documents, because I know that's why he's talking about this being Jane Doe, because it's very clear that at the bottom here on page 2, Jane Doe. That's what he saw, and that's maybe what he was reacting to. I don't know if it was confusing the two or whatever was going on.
But think about the crazy part.
Mm-hmm.
He's confused. Why is he confused? I can understand why we're all confused. I can understand why we weren't involved. We're trying. It's the same thing as if I turned around to you, Zev, right now and said I would be confused about Hunter Biden's information in his laptop.
Yeah.
Why would I be confused? I was involved in it. I can understand. I could confuse you if I wanted to. I could confuse all of you. I could give you stories left and right, and I could, But how could I be confused?
Yeah.
So when Michael Cohen says, "This is what kills me the best out of all of this," this is where you see the con artist and him coming out. Where he turns around and says, "I understand how they could be all confused. I'm confused myself. It's a confusing. There's 125 Jane Doe's filed. There's all. Are you kidding me?
There are not.
How are you? What are you confused by? How can you be confused about what you did at that time? Because that's all we're asking you, Michael. We're asking you, Michael. Even the fact, like you're saying, why are you skipping the fact that you're making such? Just let's stop for a second. Also about the story of how he received. Forget about for a second, Katie Johnson, folks. Forget about the real people. Let's take a look at Michael's action. Even just how he's dealing with it. He received a file. Let's think about this for a second. He walks in the office. This is Michael saying, "I received a file." There's a file on his desk threatening. This is 2016, a month before the elections. Michael Cohen is telling himself he's busy with all of the elections. There's so much going on. There's Katie McDougal. There's what's her name? Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels. There's the election stuff going on. There's the Dems, the P-tape, the all the stuff going on. And Michael Cohen gets a file that says that there's a 13-year-old girl that's claiming that the president raped her.
Mm.
Think about that.
It's an earthquake.
Michael Cohen doesn't say 911, folks. I ran everything. Everybody like, wow, stop the horses. No, he walked in nonchalantly. He came in, hey boss, I got this thing.
This crazy ass case. This crazy ass case.
Just think about how he talks about a 13-year-old girl being raped. Just think about how he's talking about this crazy ass case. What do you want me to do with it? Handle it.
Yeah, it's not true.
Just handle it. It's not you handle it. And I made some phone calls to some people and I sent some private investigators. Just think about how he's explaining that. Now, if you take a look how he explains his stories about, even to the fact how he remembers his conversation with Mark Epstein. I'll never forget that. How he went live and started telling people how he was drinking his coffee, how he was getting off the exit, how he was having eggs with his wife, how he was calling people on the phone. He remembered even the color shirt he was wearing. But when it comes to this situation, the most important situation probably going on at the time in 2016, right before the election, where he is the man. He admits it himself. He's the man. Yes, Trump had other lawyers. Absolutely. See, this is where he confuses people by saying, oh, Alan Gardner's name is on the file. Nobody's doubting that Alan Gardner was also involved in that, but it doesn't mean you had no knowledge of what was going on.
You were the senior counsel there. You were the guy in charge. You were the guy, of course, something this big, you would be handling Of course. You know who
Correct.
else took it very seriously? It was Jeffrey Epstein took it very seriously. There are a lot of
Oh,
files
please.
around Katie Johnson inside the emails released by Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, one of them is to Tom Barrack saying, hey, heads up, you guys, this thing's coming. You need to be aware of it. That's how important it was that he had to go to Trump's funding chief to tell him, hey, this is coming. And for Michael Cohen, it was, it's Jane Doe. I'll just handle it, whatever. It's not important. It's a crazy ass case. That's, this is not holding together very well for Michael Cohen at all. And, I don't know if anyone has any concerns around the way, we don't know enough about Katie Johnson. We just don't know. The story is inconclusive. We don't know where she is. We don't know why she hasn't spoken. And that's just true. But that does not explain why he sent private investigators to an address to intimidate somebody or to investigate somebody who is supposedly a Jane Doe, who is supposedly someone who you should not be investigating because they're there anonymously.
Right. Well, that's the one thing he never responds to. That's the crazy part. Is like, if you get a complaint served to you as a lawyer, you respond to the lawyer with a response. You don't send private investigators to find the person that's trying to hide, as a Jane Doe, especially as a minor complaint. Again, that's illegal.
It's illegal.
That's not ethical.
And
that's not ethical.
Yeah. The way he talks about, remember, he's in his first testimony, he used to say to people, the way the president speaks to you, he doesn't give you direct orders, but you know what he means. So when Trump said to him, go handle it, what did he exactly mean? Handle it. Because that's the wink language that he admitted they used all the time. He would never be explicit about the orders. Because we know now there are allegations of murder, of women who were raped allegedly by Trump or Epstein that disappeared, who are buried on the golf course. Who this one guy showed up in the testimony yesterday in front of Pam Bondi, where he says that he heard Trump talking about raping this girl with Jeffrey Epstein, and the girl was found dead. And it was ruled a homicide. So what does handle it mean in Donald Trump's world? I'm not saying he murdered anybody. I'm saying we just don't know what that meant for Donald Trump, and we don't know what it meant for Michael Cohen.
Correct. And the bottom line, folks, and this is what we're getting to, and where I want to connect some of the dots and make sure. It's the same thing like when if there's a let's say like a murder that takes place, and there's a husband on the scene, and if the husband and the wife is found dead, and the husband all of a sudden says, you know what, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm taking a lawyer, I'm going off on what's it called, I'm not helping you with anything, you would assume something's wrong with that situation. You would assume that, that if the husband had nothing to do with it and he comes home and finds his wife dead, that a normal reaction would be to do everything possible to help find what happened and who could have done that thing. Correct? I mean, just common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you could find. I mean, you could find extreme cases where the police are trying to, and somebody wants to protect himself because it looks bad, and maybe they need a lawyer. So there are extreme cases we could go down rabbit holes. But majority of the time, that if your intention would be, if you want to help solve something, like if you're out there fighting, saying, I want to release the Epstein files, we need to get to the bottom of it, we need to do it. Your reaction would be that when the first drop, as soon as the Epstein files would be, you as the person that was with Donald Trump the most, you that knows Witkoff, you that knows, what's his name, Lutnick, for 25 years, you that knows all of these people, all of these, Blavatnik, Huyatnik, all these people, how are you not calling up and saying, hey guys, how can I help? How are you not going to Congress like I went to, or like you, and said, hey, let me look at the Epstein files. Let me look at these dates. Let me take a look. Maybe I could know how could I help you where that. Let me look at my paperwork and see if there's anything that coincides with maybe any of the business deals. Yeah, let me see how I could, because I was there. I don't know Epstein. I was never involved with him. But yes, I know Epstein was a major part. Let me see what I could help, how I could help. That's what you expect from somebody that's trying to.
That's what normal behavior would be. In fact, he said before that clip started, he said, there was nothing between Epstein and Trump. There was nothing untoward. Never heard him really talk about him. And then he says, except for this one file. And then he goes on to talk about a case that only involves Donald Trump, by the way, not Epstein. But, he did say, except for this one file. So obviously that's not true, because we know as well that the transaction that took place with the Maison Amate, the house that Donald Trump bought and then sold to Dmitry Rubelov for a $50 million profit, Michael Cohen was the guy in that case. Michael, he transacted that real estate deal. He knows what that real estate deal was all about. Everybody, including Senator Wyden, including everybody who's looked at this thing, says this smells. This is a weird thing. No one gets $50 million above, never mind, the market was crashing at the time. No one gets that kind of real estate deal from a Russian oligarch. And even in Michael Cohen's own book, he says that Donald Trump believed that Putin bought that house from him. So even Donald Trump and Michael Cohen in his book, unless he was lying there as well, know that it was Putin that gave them the deal. Now he says it's a normal real estate deal. This is an important piece of evidence regarding the Epstein files, the Epstein network, how money flowed from Russia into Donald Trump's coffers during the 2008 crash. Still today, we're talking about money flowing from Putin into Donald Trump's campaign. This is the way Epstein operated. Epstein got a lot of money. $1 billion went through Russian banks for Jeffrey Epstein. So, there is something very important about the relationship between Russia and Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And that involves money. And Michael Cohen was in the middle of a transaction. He was the real estate broker during that transaction. He must have something to say about that transaction other than it's just, lucky real estate. Because it isn't lucky real estate. It's something that looks like a lot like money laundering.
But here's the key. Michael Cohen, as of today, says that Donald Trump has never done anything wrong. Even the Stormy Daniels case, now he is saying that he was coerced. Even that he is saying that Trump did nothing wrong, that he was pressured, that the prosecutors went after him, that this was a get. So if Michael Cohen has been with Donald Trump for 14 years, Michael Cohen tells everybody that he knows him better than anybody. And the first thing you ask Michael Cohen, Joy Reid did a very good job. Joy Reid said to him, Michael, even now, after everything you've been through, after everything you've seen, after all the files came out on Epstein, or after seeing that his name is in there over 1 million times, or whatever the case, more than, what's it called? After doing all that, can you see that, somewhere, even the way he spoke to your own daughter, which is disgusting, the way he explains about that. I mean, I want to throw up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't even see that, but
the way he explained to Joy about that, basically saying that his daughter is used to older men hitting on her because she's used to going out in clubs since she's 13 years old and stuff like that. I mean, it just shows you Michael Cohen's mentality, and it shows you the person that he is not far. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you look at this, the one thing I could tell you that if you really want to see how badly Michael Cohen wants to get into Donald Trump's good graces, if you really want to see how badly he misses Donald Trump, literally misses Donald Trump, like really wants to sit down and say, boss, this is what he wants to say, boss, let's read the paper. Like, even when he talks, you hear he goes, every morning I read the paper at 4:30, just like Donald Trump does. Together we would read the paper at 4:30 in the morning, and then he'd call me every morning. Just if you listen to it, you want to throw up knowing that you want, but it's important to understand, to see what the mindset, because if you put these conversations together, what transpired? Michael Cohen, while he was out here claiming that he's being attacked for all of this stuff, Michael Cohen was going on right-wing media and laying out the groundwork and trying to get a pardon and trying to get back in Trump's good graces. Meanwhile, coming out here lying to everybody, continuously lying. You also heard now in Michael Cohen's own words talk about how he never wanted to testify against Donald Trump. He never wanted to go. That if somebody would have just showed him some love, if somebody was just cared for him, if somebody would showed him some nothing, he would have never testified. Michael Cohen told you he's being coerced even till now by the DOJ. He's telling you what kind of great baseball player Donald Trump was, how passionate he was that he would let Michael, when Michael was with his son at a baseball game, Donald Trump wouldn't bother him because, and he would go into a story about how great Donald Trump was at baseball and then sports and how great Donald Trump is at everything. I mean, if you listen to this interview, you're going to throw up. You're not going to, you won't believe that's why even David turned around and said, you're not going to believe your ears, folks, when you listen to it. I had to listen because I wanted to explain to you, and Zev listened to it because we had to break it down. But I could tell you, folks, it's hard to see this bits and pieces. I recommend for those of you that have any doubt, that's the only reason. Otherwise, it's torture to listen to it. But if you have any doubt still after listening to us and after listening to everything we're telling you, I ask of you and I beg of you, please go listen to the full interview and quietly and take a look at some of the things. The one thing, I don't know if you have this clip, but you know what Michael Cohen has laid out also, the groundwork? You're going to love this one.
Yeah.
So he's asked this question. He goes, if you were on the stand, and when you were on the stand, you were saying all of these things, bad things about Donald Trump. When Todd Blanche was cross-examining you. And Michael Cohen turns around and says, yes, he goes, but he goes, Todd Blanche didn't ask the right questions. Because if Todd Blanche would have asked the right questions, that trial would have either got dismissed or it would have been a mistrial or something like a hung jury. Like literally, he said to him
I think Todd Blanche called him the greatest liar of all time in that court case. So I mean, even the president's own lawyer, who's sitting in DOJ, thinks that Michael Cohen lies all the time. And he's perjured himself over and over again. I mean, there's not been a single instance where he's been in court where someone hasn't said you're perjured yourself during this court case. He just lies, and he's lied to the audience here at Substack. He's lied to the people of America in his books, Mea Culpa, and he's lying to people by taking their money. It's fraud. It's fraud to be taking people's money basing on one position and then have a completely different position. How he can justify having these two separate interviews or having his interview on their PBD at the same time as he says the things that he does on his own podcast, it just doesn't make sense. He is lying to one of those audiences.
Well, no, he's lying. He's lying to our audience here on Substack because he doesn't tell them that it's on PBD. If you look at the PBD podcast, he says that if my audience would hear, they would kill me. They would never listen to me. He says it. He says it straight out because he knows his audience is never going to go on the far right wing and look at this podcast. He knows that his audience is not the one. That was not, folks. That's what you got to understand. That podcast was not meant for MAGA. That podcast was not meant for anybody but Donald Trump. That was literally a 2-hour cry out to Donald Trump. If you listen to the podcast, he literally goes in talking about stories of how him and Donald Trump would have breakfast together, how they would laugh together. He literally talks about telling him that Donald Trump's not happy now. He could tell that Donald Trump doesn't laugh as much because Michael Cohen's not there, because they were boys. He literally turned around and said, I mean, you can't make this up. He says that, I just want to ask him, why, boss? Boss, why me? Why throw me under the bus, boss?
Yeah.
This is how he's talking. He's still calling him boss.
I know, it's unbelievable to me. The mob references and the acknowledgement that they're basically talking about a mob world and a mobster here. It's so blatant. The fact that they're even talking about it that way is stunning. I have a couple of clips. I'm not sure what's on these. So I'm going to play one of them. One's about Maida's touch. So let's listen to this one.
Yes, please go ahead.
And you said you were compelled and coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the case against and secure a judgment and convictions against Trump. You say this in your Substack. Not a crazy thing. This is your opinion against Letitia James and Alvin Bragg.
Not a crazy thing.
Then we get news that Midas Touch drops you. This is 10 or 12 days ago. Drops, fired, cutting away, whatever word they want to use. They fired the podcast and they move on. If you were at any other place, you're not getting fired. So your position today, who has Michael Cohen's back? I want to hear your thoughts.
My wife, my daughter, my son.
You like how you said if you were at any other place, you would not get fired for that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he would get fired for that, but it's I don't know. At some point, I just get really frustrated listening to him because nothing he says is legitimate or true, and it's just making us run around in circles. And I don't
Yeah,
even
I
understand
would
why
like to. Yeah.
why he wants to get back into the president's good graces because the president is not in good standing right now. He looks like he's about to collapse from his health, but also as a political leader. This guy's in trouble. So why run back to dear daddy or whatever it is, his boss? Why run back there at this time? I don't even understand it.
Because it's his world. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Michael Cohen never had a mea culpa. He never gave up that world. When you give up, you have to cut everything off. Michael Cohen never. He tells you himself. He's still friends with Lutnick. He's still friends with Witkoff. Like I could tell you from experience, not because I'm trying to compare myself to Michael Cohen, but I lived in the same life. But for me to be able to sit here and talk to you like that, I had to cut everybody off, Zev. I
Mhm.
mean, I cut off everybody. I don't have the same associations. I don't go out with the same friends and people that I went out with prior to, because I had to cut off everything that was basically associated with me and Donald Trump at that time to be able to move on. Because otherwise, you're right back in it. It's just like, trying to get off drugs and then once in a while doing a line of cocaine or
Can't
taking
do
a
it.
shot of, what I'm saying? You can't do it. You got to either cut it off. Michael Cohen never cut that off. Michael Cohen played the line. Michael Cohen still wanted the power, wanted to be the influence. Michael Cohen still lives in Trump Tower. He's still neighbors with
Does
what's
he
it
still
called?
live in Trump Tower? Eh?
Yeah, he still lives in Trump. What's it called? I'm almost positive. I don't want to dox him, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly he lives, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying to you, he's it's all about what I would like if you had that right at the end where they talk about how he's going to the White House, how they talk about he's going to call. If you had that clip, that would be
I've got
great.
a
If
couple of
not,
clips. Let me
and
play them both, and we'll just see where we
yeah,
land. I'm not sure if
yeah,
this is the right
yeah,
one,
yeah,
but
60, 90 days like
yeah.
Peter Navarro or like Alan Weisselberg, had I had somebody in my camp, hell yeah. Certainly it's a lot better than the 6 years that I got from that idiot judge,
Oh,
right?
that's a great
Off
one.
of what? Off of doing an NDA, right? I mean, that's really what it was about an NDA, about the Russia hoax. Had I had even just a shred of loyalty thrown back to me, some care, some knowledge that, let's protect Michael. Let's put our arms around him. That's what a mob boss would do.
This
Don't take the guy and then just say, oh, yeah, point over there. Hey, no. Look at him. Don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Look at him over there. No, that's not right. That's not. I would never have testified. I didn't want to. In fact, when I
he
said I felt
never would have
pressured and coerced,
testified.
I felt coerced. I was under subpoena. I felt pressured. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to. It's my personal feelings, and I'm entitled to them.
Absolutely.
Wow, what a
So
clip. I
these
mean, that
guys-
says it all.
These guys who were in Trump's ears, let's just say that they, turned you against him,
No, the other way around.
turned him against you, whatever
Yes.
may be. And let's just say you know that for a fact.
I do.
Okay, fair. If you know that for a fact, don't you think time's going to be on your side? Don't you think within time he's going to realize what happened?
My hope.
No, but what I'm
Yes.
saying is, even in that moment,
My
to
hope,
say,
yes. My hope,
this
yes.
guy, I have 100% of his back. Don't you think? And I want to finish this, and then we can move on to the next
No,
topic.
because I have a response for this.
Do-
That's
do-
going to
okay.
blow you away.
So
Oh,
what I'm saying
he
is,
has-
in
he's
that
gonna blow.
moment, you're like, what is he doing? Patient, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. Then he sees the guys that did this. Then he sees how they did. And then he sits there and says, but that Michael guy never flipped. But that Michael guy never threw me under the bus. But that Michael guy, you know what?
It's telling. I'm sorry the cuts off where it does because it's an interesting point. But he said that at the beginning there. I think what he said was really interesting. He said, "No, I didn't turn against him. He turned against me."
Absolutely.
He's never turned against Donald Trump. He says in that interview, and yet he's selling himself as this big anti-Trump guy. And all he needed was loyalty and some sort of whatever affection or whatever. And he would never have testified. He would never have gone out in public and said what he knows about this president, which means he hasn't.
He would have went. he would have went to prison for 3 to 6 months, like Wexelberg
Yeah.
and like Navarro. Like he just said that. He said like all I need is a little love, and I would have what to instead of going for 6 years with these. Why he has anger because he can't understand why he was thrown under the bus. Like because he still thinks he's one of them. He can't understand why they won't accept him. He
Yeah.
can't still like even you'll hear. I know we don't have all the clips, and there's 2 hours. I mean, he talks about how him and Ivanka were rolling around on the floor fighting over lasagna that he made. That they were such a close family, all of them. That how Don Jr. and how he was so disappointed that when Trump turned against him, how Ivanka and Don Jr. didn't go up. How Eric is such a great guy. When I was listening to this, and I was thinking to myself, wait a second, this is the same Michael Cohen that abuses Eric and Don Jr. every day on Substack.
Yeah.
It
Right.
makes fun
He
of
says the
them,
most stupid
and
people
now,
in the world.
and then he's talking about how great Eric is in a businessman, that he's never said that he did anything illegal, that they've never done anything wrong. It's just listen, it's the same thing. The reason why we're showing you. Do you have any more clips?
There's one more. I think I haven't played this one. I'm gonna just listen to it and see what it says, because
Let's see.
I'm not sure where we are at.
Do.
Let's try.
So deserving, so bad, that I deserve to be not just thrown under the bus, but how about
it's a good
run
one.
over, not once, not twice, but a half a dozen times. And I was like, okay, I guess I am on my own.
So what's your next move when that happens? Because I got a bunch of follow-up questions, but I want to know what you do exactly after that. You see this, you know what the signs are. You're like, I don't think I'm on the inner circle anymore. I'm on the outer, if not the ousted, like I'm about to be ousted. What's your next move?
I just continue. I had no moves. It wasn't as if I
Did
didn't
you
call
approach him? Did you talk to him about
No.
it? Did you see the calls declining in a major way?
I was told by people like Jay Sekulow, oh, don't worry, I'm speaking to the boss. I'm speaking to the boss. Everything's going to be fine. Ultimately, I realized that Sekulow is lying to me. They then tried to send in this scumbag, Bob Costello, a lawyer who was with Rudy Giuliani. They tried to infiltrate the defense where he wanted to come in. It's really a terrible. This, by the way, would be probably an Oscar-winning movie because it's so outlandish, it's so ridiculous. Nobody would possibly believe that this is true.
It really makes you feel. He's so. I don't feel sorry for him because he's done this himself, but he.
No.
It's a very pathetic image he's striking out there. He's just crawling back to his former boss and denying what he's been doing for the last few years. He's just denying it and then spouting all this stuff, is expecting no one to pick it up, expecting nobody from his community and Substack to see the story, or nobody expecting Ellie to find it, or you to give it prominence. I mean, he seems deluded. He seems deluded.
No, he's Donald Trump Jr. narcissistic. It's when you're so narcissistic and you believe that your shit don't smell type of stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If you take a look, he's no different. He acts no different than Donald Trump acts. He acts no different than Pam Bondi acts.
Yeah.
He acts no different than Pete Hegseth, than Kash Patel. To be when you're in the inner, you could see who is in the inner circle and who praises Donald Trump by the way they act. He acts like a loyal dog. He still calls him boss.
Mhm.
He still calls him. Just think about how he reacts to him. I mean, it's the little things that you want to watch. It's not, and I always tell everybody, don't listen to what they're saying. Watch what they're doing. Watch what they're not saying to you.
Mhm.
That's what's going to give you the actual picture. What is he not telling you? Why is he not telling you that? What is he actually doing? But what's he saying? So if you take a look at Michael's actions, Michael Cohen, and I said that to a lot, and that's what when I had my conversations with Ben and anybody else. I mean, I said, what did Michael Cohen give any evidence against Donald Trump except for this whole story about Stormy Daniels, which he was pissed off about because he went to prison for?
Yeah.
Otherwise, tell me one other thing in 14 years that he came out and said, Donald Trump. I saw Donald Trump, even a simple thing like I saw Donald Trump throw garbage on the floor every day. I saw Donald
Well,
Trump
he did the mortgages thing. He was part of the mortgage
or
investigation.
whatever. I saw Donald
Yeah.
Trump do the mortgage. I saw Donald Trump, not pay his parking tickets. I don't know, but even something stupid like that, he's never said everything. If you take a look forever, every question you ask about Donald Trump, except for with the Stormy Daniel case. But if
And
you
now,
go
and the
into anything
Letitia
else,
James case, which is the mortgage case. I mean, in both
right?
cases, he says he's now being coerced, which is not true. He wasn't being coerced. He was,
Yeah, no.
he showed those checks during the Stormy Daniels thing. Those checks were not coerced. Those were real checks. Those things showed up as evidence. He committed those crimes. The president did.
Yeah, I mean, and he wrote the checks for him. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's a lot more. We could, today's been a long day. I think we got to the bottom. I think we really explained to everybody. The bottom line is what I ask each and every one of you, and Zev asks each and every one, folks, is to spread the message. Make sure everybody knows what is going on, because we're in a fight to save our democracy. Each vote counts, each individual counts, and to have people here dividing this community. That's what Donald Trump does. He divides our country. He divides people. These are people that infiltrate. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump is giving Michael Cohen orders to do this, or Michael Cohen is doing it on his own because he knows Donald Trump so well, he knows how to appease him without even talking to him. It doesn't matter. The reason he's deflecting, he's attacking, just like Donald Trump. Think about who is he attacking. He attacked Tara Palmieri, a woman. He went into Ellie's DMs and sent her a message to apologize. That's a way. I mean, yes, you might think, what's the big deal? It's no big deal if you're friends. It's a big deal if you're accusing somebody and you're threatening to sue them, and then you go into a DM, especially a female, and you're, to be able to intimidate. These are all little intimidated actions that Michael Cohen took. And again, just like Donald Trump, look how he acts with female journalists that ask him a question that he doesn't like. Same exact way. He attacks them. He embarrasses them. He calls them out. He threatens them. Same way Michael Cohen talks about Tara Palmieri and other, independent journalists. So it's the same methods and the same thing you saw Pam Bondi do inside of that, what's it called?
Hearing yesterday,
Hearing,
yeah.
where I said that in front of it's the same pattern. So folks,
deflect.
it doesn't, deflect. So the bottom line here, it doesn't matter if it's Michael Cohen, if it doesn't matter if it's Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, if they're involved in the Epstein file, this wolf pack is going to go after him. We are not going to allow, because you know what, the truth has teeth. That's one of our mottos. And the truth is the truth. And we're going to get to the bottom to the truth. We're not going to allow it. Doesn't matter. Like, I'll give you another example before we go, having to do with Michael Wolff. I found out some very interesting information today, speaking to a very prominent attorney that deals with slap cases and deals with these, and I want to take you back because Michael Wolff. Let's understand what Michael Wolff did for a second, because I'm going to be writing a big Substack about this. We're going to be uncovering Michael Wolff is just like Michael Cohen. He's another person that has a lot of information, that is manipulating the system, and instead of coming forward and helping right now and saying, hey guys, here's all the pictures, all the video, all the messages I've had, and let's figure out what it is, how I could help you. This is where Bannon said, this is what this was. Let me look at the redactions. Let me see. Instead, he went into hiding. Instead, he went and raised $800,000 for a slap lawsuit. So let me break down this lawsuit. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to get a lawyer to come on and we're going to break it down really. But this a very prominent lawyer told me this today. He said that if you what Michael Wolff did is he's trying to use a loophole in the New York law that basically where if you are actually sued, and you prove that you are falsely sued, it's a slap law where you could have the accuser pay for your lawyer's fees.
Yeah, and you can
Very
get rid of it
important.
quickly. That's what the slap law does, basically.
And you get it dismissed quickly. Correct. You don't get depositions there. You don't go into a lawsuit. It's meant to strictly get the case dismissed and to pay attorney's fees. So now let's take a look at what Michael Wolff did. Michael Wolff is trying to sue Melania because she threatened to sue him. She didn't sue him. She threatened to sue him. So the chances are already slim, very, very slim, that he's going to be able to get Melania to win, to get this lawsuit, to discovery, because they're not. Second of all, he went and raised $800,000. Now, my question to the lawyer was today, but wait a second, why would he need $800,000 if he wins the slap suit? Melania would have to pay the lawyer's fees. What happens to the $800,000?
Yeah, why does he need that? Good question.
Why is it? So it's
just grifting.
And then I asked him another question. I said to him, but let me ask you, okay, forget about that. But can't he use that to depose Melania? He says, I don't see how. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, because the second the judge if the judge would award him the slap, let's say the judge, he goes, first of all, he has a hard to climb, to prove, because he never got sued. But even if he was to, let's say the judge said that was the relief for it, is to dismiss the case,
and pay lawyers' fees.
And pays lawyer fees. So there's no deposition.
Right.
So what Michael Wolff is running around is saying that he's going to depose Melania is a lie. And all of these pundits that are out there supporting him and helping raise money for a lie, this is the shit that we're going to uncover. So Michael Wolff, Michael Cohen, I don't give a shit. You guys are going to pay the piper. It's time to tell the truth. And that's what our platform is about. So that's why I just want to make it clear to everybody out there.
Look, we're beginning to see that happen. We're beginning to see people fall around the world. The rest of the world knows how serious all of this is. You've got former prime ministers. You've got chiefs of staff of prime ministers. You've got the Sultan, who's in charge of this massive corporation. These people are being arrested. These people are under investigation and being arrested, and they're losing their jobs. In America still, it's still a griftathon. You still have Michael Wolff raising money, Howard Lutnick laughing at the Senate when they're asking him these very serious questions about what the hell are you doing on the island? What's your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? Those are very serious questions, because there's much more than he's revealing. He's lying when he says he just went for lunch. And you've got people like Michael Cohen running around kissing Donald Trump's ass, thinking they're going to get away with all this stuff. The truth of it is, this entire cabinet, of this president, there are maybe 30 more, I've heard, people who are involved or connected to the Epstein crime group. I mean, this is a criminal enterprise, and now we're finding out, as I reported today, that the money was flowing through Epstein to Trump, probably, through Peter Thiel. That's where the next step of my investigation is going. Was it just influence? Does it just meet the ambassador? Was it just meet the deputy minister? Or was it a way to get money to Donald Trump from the Russians? It could have been that, and we won't go into that part of the investigation is there. But this is a multinational, transnational criminal enterprise that is in charge of America. And Michael Cohen knows way too much for him to be going on anywhere saying he knows nothing about what happened with Epstein and Trump, because he just knows way too much. And Lev, thank you so much for doing all the work. I know I can see how tired you are. I know I am too. It's been a long few days with very little sleep, but it's so important to get this out there. It's so important to analyze it for people and sort of deconstruct it so they see what's going on. Because you've got this is a criminal organization, and they're criming right now, and we have to expose them, and that's what you're doing. So shout out to you and your team, and that was a great letter they wrote for the universities.
Yeah, Jay, shout out to Jay. The volunteer is great. Definitely letter, and we're going to take action. And to Yuzev and to Ellie and to Kate Justice and to Dean and Waj and all of you out there that are out there helping, because we see you, the DMs, the volunteers, just so many of you, too many of you to name, but we see you, we love you, we appreciate. Like I said, we are the official crowdsourcing for the congressional hearings now. we're helping. We're actually, this information that we're sharing with you, we are also sharing it with people in Congress, with people in Senate, so they could use it, because they're, the one thing that Donald Trump and his inner circle didn't count on. And when I was in D.C., I'll tell you an interesting story. Without, I was sitting there with some Congress people, and we were talking about it. And when I told them, Zev, our plan, that we want to be able to help them with our crowdsourcing, with our eyes, to be able to help them put extra couple of million of eyes onto these Epstein files, to help them go through it, to be able to find things that others might have not found. When we were telling them, they said, thanks to you guys, we're going to be able to, because they knew that we don't have the capability to look through these files. Because if it wasn't, just think about it, if it wasn't for the independent journalists, majority of them here on this platform, like my son, like you, like Ellie, like a bunch of others that have been constantly every day finding out new stuff about the Epstein files and uncovering it, that is what we're hearing. What otherwise, it's not, just think about it. Have you seen anything where Thomas Massey or any of the Congress people found and brought to us and said, wow, Eureka, we found? No. It's, they're taking what we're giving them, they're going on redacting him, and they're reporting on what we're giving them. That's how important it is. And that's why it's important to understand what Donald Trump and their team thought, and they miscalculated, is they're going to throw all this dump onto Congress. Congress never have the availability or
Bandwidth, right.
time to be able to do bandwidth to deal with it, overload them, and eventually, it just goes out. And the fact that our community, the fact that all of you out there are helping out, and together we are together winning this battle, keeping the Epstein files in the loop, making sure that we keep the pressure on, that we keep accountability not only to Donald Trump but everybody that's in the files. And I don't care if it's Clinton, if it's Cohen, if
Yeah, I
it's
don't care
Wolf, if it's Bannon. It's irrelevant. There's no apologies. There's no set. It's hard, and I understand. For a lot of people, it's hard, because you know what? A lot of people have followed Michael Cohen for many years, have listened to him, listened to the, his speech, and listened to the way in there. And sometimes, yes, he might have been helpful during a certain periods of time, and it really, really and it feels like you guys, and I understand, it feels like you have been let down. It feels like, and you don't want to believe in it. You want to give excuses to think, oh, maybe it's not true. Maybe somebody's trying to, maybe this is Trump trying to blame Michael for something. Folks, we're in a fight for our democracy. This is not about me. It's not about Zev. It's not about Michael Cohen. It's not about one individual. It's about our democracy. It's not about one person saying or the other. Open your own eyes, open your own ears. It's factual. What we're talking about are facts. Nothing me, Ellie, Zev, or anybody else have said to you that we have not right away showed you either a clip, a text message, a video of even some of the reporting that I've been doing with my sources. You see, and so far, knock on wood, my sources have not let us down. We're batting 1,000 on everything. So it's not a fact that we're trying to insinuate anybody or start conspiracy theories or having people go down rabbit holes or in any way divide anybody. On the contrary, we are trying to unite. And that is why we're screaming so loud, because right now, this Substack is divided. Right now, there are people in this community, because of Michael Cohen, that are not speaking up. And I'm not going to go put out their names out there right now, because, it's not a time and a place. We're not here to argue, but there's a lot of people that have done business with Michael Cohen, that have promoted his shows, that are out there right now just staying quiet. They're just letting it pass by. And that's not right. We should not be the only voices calling out. We shouldn't be the only ones talking about injustice. I understand it's hard, it's difficult. But right now, the bottom line is we all should care about one thing, and that's justice for the survivors. That's accountability for the creeps and the criminals that caused this. And get the truth out to save our democracy and get rid of this tyrant. That's all. Everything else we could deal with later. So let's start with the bullshit. Let's stop with the minutia. Let's stop attacking each other. Let's stop trying to play one against another. Let's deal with the facts, folks. Let's deal with what it is, the receipts, what we prove. And with that, I am definitely so tired, guys. I haven't slept in 4 days. Tomorrow, definitely, we also have coffee tea with Dean and Lev. You guys, we will be talking about a lot of these things. The one thing we will be catching up, Zev, on is Michael Wolff. There's a lot of stuff that's leading to him. The only difference is Michael Wolff, as you could see, is staying quiet. He's staying under the
On the
radar.
radar for
He's
now.
not doing. Yeah, he's not out there doing interviews. He's not out there. He's doing his little, daily beast gig. He's doing writing on Substack. He's quietly doing his little grift. But we see him. We understand him. The fact that he blocked us, it doesn't gonna not gonna stop it. Because the one thing I want to tell everybody, what we're doing here, we're also dealing with Congress. So the fact that what we're telling you, we're not just doing this as a show. I promise you that once subpoenas start coming, Michael Cohen is going to get subpoenaed. Michael Wolff is going to get subpoenaed. All Bannon, all of these people
Put
on
Peter
our
Thiel
list
on that list as well, by the way.
Oh, he is. I think
Yeah.
Peter Thiel
Okay.
is on the list.
Okay.
Peter
Good.
Thiel and Elon Musk is on the list. All of these people are going to get subpoenaed. It's just a matter of time. It's either going to happen sooner or it's going to happen later when we take control of the House. But as soon as we take control of the House, that's why Michael Cohen is running so hard right now to Donald Trump to get pardoned, to get run over to the other side, because he knows that it's coming. The clock is ticking. And once we take control, just like Steve Bannon said, in Steve Bannon's words, and I'll end it on this. He said, if we lose the House, some of us are going to prison, especially me.
Hmm.
So, folks, on that, understand that. We have the power, we have the strength right now, and right now we need to be focused. Don't let them distract you. Don't think, oh, just because you hear Michael Cohen's voice, that this is some kind of Jerry Springer show. The only person that says that is Michael Cohen. This is not Jerry Springer. I'm not sitting here, and Zev's not sitting here for 2 hours in the middle of the night, or I could be with my kids, or I could be with my wife before Valentine's Day, because I want to sit here and have a personal debate about Michael Cohen. If that's what anybody thinks, you're out of your mind. I wouldn't give Michael Cohen the only reason I'm sitting here and giving you my heart, and Zev is giving you all of we have on a Friday night instead of spending time with our loved ones and our family, because it's extremely important. It's extremely important because Michael Cohen is a key to a lot of things. And that is why we are going against everything, against him threatening to sue us, against other people attacking us, losing subscribers ourselves because certain people are saying that this, but it's not, because we're not going to stop. We laugh about Wolfpack, this, that, but we're not going to stop, folks. At the end of the day, that is what our platforms are about: truth, honesty, transparency, and we bring the facts. So I want to thank
Well
each and
said.
every one of you that joined us. I want to thank all of our subscribers. For those of you that haven't, please, subscriptions are for free to Zev, to myself, to others like Ellie, to Dean, Waj, my son Aaron, some great independent journalists. Your support is incredibly needed. For those of you that can become paid subscribers that like some of the work, you don't have to be, you can't, some of you become paid subscribers to everybody, but it's okay. Some to Zev, some to me, some to Ellie. It's okay. It's who you feel with, but it's important because not only does it keep our independent journalism going from being reliant on any of these corporate medias, but I'm going to give you another little trick. The more paid subscribers you have, the more the algorithms push your news out there. It's just another algorithm trick, how all these machinery and AIs and all this works. So if you believe in the message and believe in what we're doing and the hard work, trust me when I tell you that will be the best 8 or 6 or 10 or whatever dollars that you could spend in a month, because it will not only help support the platform, but it also will push the algorithms out there to be able to get it out there and for more people to see it. So that's why it's important. So, and if those of you that can't, I want to say, please, you're still part of this family, because at the end of the day, we're here to get the information out, not to build paid subscribers. It's just another way to support and build. So any way you can, send a message, text it, bring a friend on, contribute, become a paid subscriber, or just, be here to support, to spread the message and comment. whatever you can, build a community, build our family, build this movement, because we are done talking. We're moving to action, and power, and we're going to take back our democracy. On that, folks,
Well done. Lev
I'm
Parnas,
done.
everyone subscribe to
Thank
Lev Parnas. By the way, I should just mention 20% off on for 24 hours for Valentine's Day, Lev, just for you and me. Until tomorrow, 20% off at Narativ for the annual subscriptions. Thank you for being my Valentine, Lev. We'll see
I
you.
love you,
We'll
brother.
see you again very soon.
Thank you,
Have a
Zach.
great night,
Take care.
everybody, and be safe
Take
and
care.
enjoy your loved ones this weekend. Go spread some love
Happy
out there.
Valentine's, everybody.
It's
See you
certainly
tomorrow,
worth it.
guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Yes.